so that the direction of the picture is in the script. Everything is in the script.
Hello, everybody. Good day. My name is Matt. I am very happy to be back once again for the Script Awards Los Angeles. Welcome to 2023. And my God, the 19th edition of the Script Awards Los Angeles. It's been a few years. The competition exists, always has been based in Los Angeles, California, but really it's a competition where the festival receives scripts from all over the world. You may hear from my accent. I'm from France. I live in California and Tennessee, and I'm moderating the roundtables for them, either in person sometimes or digitally like we do today. And it's always, I see that as a chance for me to meet script writers and artists, because this is something that I love to do. And this is really a chance to meet a really great group of people every time. The Script Awards Los Angeles started in 2016. The competition awarded 179 writers, so 179 people won awards in the competition since its inception, and 577 other authors and writers have been selected in competition. So it's really a big competition, very high stakes all the time. And for the roundtable today, we have 4 winners. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get them on screen with me. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Fabulous. Thank you. Happy
Wonderful.
to be here with
Very good.
Good.
Like
Lovely.
I said, very happy to have you. Some of you may know that I also run a film festival in Paris, the Paris Art and Movie Awards. And I know a little bit about film festivals and competitions. We do have a script category in Paris. And I'm invited to host these roundtables a couple times a year. And it's a chance for me to be with you guys, to hear about your stories, personal stories, and the stories that you write. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Let's start by going one by one. And this is going to be interesting, I think, because, for example, Mikhail, where are you right now?
I am in Norway.
Okay, joining us digitally from Norway, Mikhail. Amira, where are you?
I am in California.
Okay, I'm checking my notes. Ilana, where are you?
Despite the accent, I'm in London.
Okay, London, UK, perfect. And Han, where are you?
I'm in New York.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to go one by one, and give me a little bit of your background. Who are you? Where are you from? And what drew you to writing? Mikhail, let's start with you.
My name is Mikhail, and I am from California originally. I live in a little place called Ojai, California. I went to a community college called Santa Barbara Community College, and from high school to community college, I've really been passionate about film, and I did a news network at my high school. I ran that for 4 years straight. So that was my job. And then once high school ended, went to community college and found a passion for documentary filmmaking. There, in my documentary class, we had to make a documentary final, and I went down to Baja, California to film there's a birthing grounds of gray whales down there, and my mom does journeys and takes groups of people all the time to do these journeys and see the gray whales. You get to go right next to them, touch them, and I made a short film.
Short film about that?
Yep. And it got accepted into the Santa Barbara International Film Festival as a part of my class project. So that'll be shown in a week or two. And then I went to community college for a semester and I wanted something different. So I asked my mom if I could go study abroad, and we looked around different places and we found Norway. They do these folkhögskolas where you can study a certain subject for a year, and we found a film one. And I didn't know it was a beginner's course at first, so I went there and I knew a lot of stuff already, but I'm learning a lot more, and that's where I got the motivation to write the
To start
retreat.
writing.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds amazing. I would have loved when I was a student to do something like that, to go abroad and study there and spend a year there. I love that. We're going to go back to the script afterwards. Amira, a little bit about you. Where do you come from and what got you into writing?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Amira, and I am a writer and filmmaker. I've worked in media for the past few years, most recently at the Filipino channel and KQED, doing kind of like video and writing stuff. But what essentially got me into writing, I think, was I like to read a lot. So from there, I kind of just, I wrote first as a journalist, and I think essentially my passion is more in like script writing and like fiction. So that's kind of how that developed.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go back to the main view right here. Ilana, what about you?
I've always, to my own horror and the horror of my parents, known that I had to write. From the time I was a child, I had my first poetry publications when I was in high school. And then when I was in university, I got the courage to start performing publicly. So I started competing very seriously in the competitive poetry circuits and slam poetry and whatnot. And then I ended up representing Montreal at this national finals competition, but I had to drop out in the final round of nationals because I had a midterm that my parents would have never forgiven me if I had missed, and my professor had already told me I couldn't postpone. However, getting to that level in the competition got me the interest of several. Basically, I started writing music for several record companies, and very quickly realized that it was not the right environment for me. At the same time, I'd realized that if I was really serious about being a professional writer, I had to do absolutely everything I could to build up a resume, so that when the opportunity came to get paid for it,
you take it.
Say, hey, look, I have a resume. So I worked in comedy news for Ask Men. I started doing bit pieces for companies that make commercials for skincare and fashion brands. I started editing scripts, assisting on scripts, and it kind of grew from there. Let's see. I started doing professional conceptual copywriting. So I mostly wrote concepts and campaigns and fantasies for medium to high-end fashion brands. And then a poem that I wrote, I was asked to submit to a book that ended up becoming a textbook in Canada during the pandemic. And at the same time, I'd finished university, and I was also doing work in university level research on my specialty in university had been human deviance. So you can kind of see where my where the things that I like lie, and the things that I studied in school very heavily influenced the things that I wrote about and the things that I spoke about. And then so eventually I got to the point where I was starting to do some conceptual work, conceptual writing work with museums. And I had a project coming up at the Montreal Museum of Contemporary Art. And then the pandemic happened and everything fell apart. And I decided to harness the power of everything falling apart to completely change everything about my life. Got rid of my apartment, broke up with my boyfriend, left the country, and moved to England during lockdown.
Cleanup, spring cleanup.
I mean, you only live once, right? You got to do what you can with your life. So now I live in England. That's why I'm in London. And I continue to write this script with my partner, Matt. My writing partner, Matt. We wrote it together. I really like where it's going. I continue to do as many different forms of writing as I possibly can. I'm currently working on my own poetry collection. It's actually currently being illustrated by a friend of mine from back home.
We'll go back to Sirens of Silence in a moment. This is what's going to be our focus afterwards. Thank you for that. Han, what about you? Can you tell me a little bit about your background and who you are?
Sure. So my name is Xintong Han, and so I'm originally from China, and because like many people here, I find I'm interested in writing, film, theater, and writing since very young, like since I was in middle school. So I also at that time, because people my generation grow up, reading and watching Harry Potter, so it's always one of my dream to go abroad, attend school in a different country. So that becomes a reason for me to go to college in England first. But because, if you want to do creative writing in your second language, it could be really difficult. So at first, I didn't try any, I don't think I can do anything like, playwriting, screenwriting at first. So I finished my college in England, and then I came to New York for my first master, which was at New York University, where I tried TV writing. And I think TV writing might be my thing because it feels like you are creating your own world, and it's less challenging than something like writing a full-length play or a feature script.
It's shorter.
So so I applied to a TV writing program at Stony Brook University, and I just finished the program last year. And so that's pretty much my background. So I'm basically a writer and an independent filmmaker. And yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Mikhail, back to you. You introduce yourself more as a filmmaker than a writer, but you're here to talk about the retreat. And I read the pitch of it, the resume, the log line. I loved it very much. It gave me ideas, actually. Can you pitch us the retreat?
It really changed a lot. I came up with the idea actually about 2 years ago. In college, me and my friend wanted to make a movie, and we were like, hey, let's write something. And it went off and on for a little bit, and then I moved to Norway and stopped. And then I needed, apparently, looking at other schools in, for example, Sweden, Stockholm, one of the requirements was to have a full short film script to apply with. And I'm like, well, I've had an idea, and it's there. So I talked to my friend and say, I'm going to make a separate idea, my own idea of what the script is, and I'm going to show you it. If you like it, you like it. You can make your own version of it. That's fine. But I'm going to make my own version. And so I think
what is it about? What is it about? What's the story?
Oh, it's about a woman that lost her parents at a young age. She gets put with a family that's down the street, her neighbors, and she falls in love with the neighbor's boy. As they get older, about 20, they want to get married, and the month before the wedding, they get a letter from a unknown location, we don't know, and you have a symbol that is part of this retreat, and it's the same symbol of her mother's ring that was given to her before her parents left. And so she connects the dots, and she's like, hey, this might be the last chance I get to finding my parents. So they go to this retreat, and quickly they find out it's a cult that her parents were a part of when she was young, and they wanted to get out of it for a long time but never had the chance. And she finds out after finding her father that her mother wanted to tell her the truth, but the real leader named River had killed her mother. And they have this talk, and it's emotional, and they team up with the other people at the retreat against the leader. And I found a way where I didn't really want anyone to die really on screen. So I wrote it in a way where there was no death. And I think it pulled off well. And everyone went their different way, except for the end. There was a plot twist where River, the leader of the cult, was at the wedding of everyone hiding. And who knows, maybe there'd be a part 2.
And all of that, it's under 20 pages, correct?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So how did you balance all the aspects? Because it sounds like a thriller.
Yeah.
It starts one way, and then you discover something, you follow the leads, and you discover another thing, and it leads to other things. How do you compress all that in 18 pages?
It took a while. I had someone that helped me a lot with how to write manuscripts and how to shorten a lot of things. And I just had a timeline for each scene, you know? So I didn't
Okay.
want it to be above a certain
Amount of pages?
right. He told me each like page is about
A minute?
yeah. And so I tried to make it in a way where I could get enough information, enough detail, and enough plot twists in a page, and then move on to the next scene and say on what does their want each scene. You know, I need a want for each character, and that was on to the next.
Okay, thank you for that. Ilana, you started talking about Sirens of Silence. It's a co-write, so you are 2 writers.
Yes, yes.
How do you write with somebody else? And what's your process?
So the way that Matt and I actually found each other for this was pretty interesting. His last film had won a bunch of awards called Mia. And he was looking, before the script was written, I guess, to sort of feel out the vibe and really make it feel bespoke and fitted to all the characters. He was actually looking for actors. So I actually met Matt when I auditioned for his script that wasn't written yet.
Okay.
And I applied for one of the mermaids. And then he was looking into my work and I guess trying to find reels of me acting or in other films. And he came across the writing work that I do and poetry and videos of me doing poetry. And he really liked the slam poetry. And he asked me if I wanted to write a siren myth in that style. So I did a lot of research on sea shanties and mermaid mythologies. And I decided that I thought it just made too much sense that, I mean, there's a lot about mermaid mythology to really play with.
Yes.
I mean, there's the question about, in the Odyssey and whatnot, everyone knows that sirens lure men to their deaths, but there isn't a motive given for that. And what I thought made a lot of sense was the fact that, sea shanties have been a big thing recently, kind of had a big resurgence. And, another thing sirens are known for is singing. However, a lot of the Odyssey mermaids we see just screech and don't really have a voice. So for me, it made a lot of sense that a sea shanty gives the impression that song tamed the sea.
And it makes a lot of sense based on your experiences. You worked in music, you wrote poetry, so you know about all these aspects of what was connecting you to the project.
Exactly.
So you were the perfect person for the job.
It's exactly what I think. Isn't it funny how these things work out sometimes? So I said to him, I don't think it should be a poem in the middle. I think you want to lull people in. You want to set the scene. So I wrote this opening scene, and I used, and I thought, and he liked it, and he said, "Well, why don't you help me write the rest of the script?" So I jumped right in, and one thing that was really important to me when writing this script was that I wanted there to be a musicality in the way that the sirens speak, because it should be a little bit enchanting. It should bring people in a little bit. Yeah. And so I used a lot of poetic devices and sound repetition and a lot of really subtle ways in the ways that I have the sirens speak that are a little bit mesmerizing. So I would say that Matt and I work so well together because I think we both really have a lot of understanding of what we're trying to do. And the whole reason I was brought, his whole intention for the script was that he wanted to bring somebody in to help write on it. And I think, and I have a wealth of knowledge or understanding about, how these sorts of things should work.
Good timing, the right person at the right time for the right project. It's
Yeah.
it comes together. It comes together at some point. It's I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
Han,
Thanks, Matt.
Han, you are here for a pitch deck.
Yes.
That pitch deck, I've seen it, I read it. It's amazing. A lot of work went into it.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned the challenge that it is when you write a script that it's not in your native language. I know about that a lot. I've co-wrote. I did some co-write with for most of my scripts because I wanted my English scripts to sound good, and I'm French, so I needed someone American to help me do that. But you submitted a pitch, and that's a very smart approach. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? What is Uneducable about? There's
Sure.
magic, there's teenagers, there's all of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Sure. So the story basically is about a Chinese girl. She's born in China. She grew up in China, and she always want to become a witch. It's her lifelong dream to become a witch. But there is no magic school in China because the Communist Party of China banned magic school, so she can only come to the U.S. for this kind of education. But because she has very limited magical ability, so she can only attend a very a third rate magic school, which is extremely cheap and is very white centric, because in this world white people are believed to be the most talented, the group which has the most magic talent. So she's the only one. She's the only Chinese and the only foreigner, and also the only outsider in this school. And she's really struggled with everything because she don't really have this kind of ability. She struggles to pass every exam, and also because it's a mistake for her to be admitted to the school. So the headmaster, the professors are trying to kick her off. And so when she is almost desperate, she met a living grimoire in the library, which can give her it has a very powerful it has a lot of magic power. The grimoire can borrow her, lend her his magic power, but she has to give her a human soul in return. That's basically the story.
You mentioned a couple of things that are interesting to me. In your biography, when you submitted the project, I read a line that says that you feel you've been an outsider yourself most of your life, and that project about magic, teenagers, the magic book and everything is based on real life experience. So the magic part or the teenage part?
What? Sorry.
What's based on your personal
Oh,
experience?
I see. So yeah, it's pretty much based on my life experience, especially based on my experience at my MFA program. Because the MFA, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the TV industry, but I think TV industry focus more about this country. American TV shows are always cares more about American. I mean, like all the American affairs. So in that program is more because I'm in a TV writing program. So it's like somewhere everyone are American or at least from an English speaking country, and all the faculties are white, and 90% of the students are white, and I'm the only one, who's not white and who's not a native speaker of English, and who's struggling with writing in English. So it's really, I mean, most people are being very supportive and kind, but there are a few moments I feel, oh, I'm left alone. I'm really not a part of this community. People are treating me differently. So that's the inspiration for this story.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you for that. Amira, back to you. Miss Hot Mess, what is it about?
Okay, so Miss Hot Mess is about a 21-year-old pageant girl who's torn between her life in glam and debauchery. The day before she goes on stage as a contestant, she meets up with her childhood friend And despite trying her best to keep it together, old habits die hard. So thematically, I really just wanted to look at identity, growth, family dynamics, and healing. And I guess a few questions I asked myself while I was writing was, how can a black sheep and a golden child, or how can you be the black sheep and still be the golden child? And what if the worst of you is actually the best of you?
Makes sense. You mentioned almost exactly what you presented in your biography, that you are interested in writing about identity, culture, and healing. I was surprised by that last one, but it starts to make sense now. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. I guess, let's see. Well, for this script specifically, it was loosely based on some of my experiences growing up. So I think in a way it was a little bit cathartic to write it, and looking at different kinds or like different scenarios from the lens of an older me versus a version of myself as a 21-year-old. It's kind of, I guess it's like full circle. Like I can see outside myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Does the film exist already?
Yes. So we actually ended up filming it at the end of last year, around September. And then hopefully we're trying to get into the film festival circuits.
What were the main challenges in between the script and its translation onto the screen? Did you change a lot of things? Did you respect the text from beginning to the end? What was the life of it?
I think from the page to on screen, I'd say it's pretty close to how the script is. Not too much challenges to bring it to life visually, I think. I would say, if anything, it's very minute, but location scouting is so hard.
So that the direction of the picture is in the script. Everything is in the script.